and happy first Tuesday of August. Here we are on the downhill side of 2025. And I'm excited for today's guest because this is going to be, how often do you get to talk to a Pied Piper, right? So we're going to have that. And as usual, though, I want to start off with check in on those around you. Check in on those who you know that they've been going through something. Maybe they went through a family issue, medical issues. It could be job related. There's so many things that we go through, and in the moment when you're in the throes of it, people are there to support. They see, they're helping, but then over time the mask comes on. It starts looking good. They got the smile. They look like they're doing fine. And the reality is they're not. So even just checking on them, saying, how are you doing? And don't accept fine. Fine is feeling inward, not expressed, as Agape put it. You make sure that they really are doing okay. Or if they're not, how can you help? Make sure, because for a lot of people, they've got that mask on. Nobody talks to them anymore. And sometimes that question of how are you doing is enough to turn a potentially serious situation into a positive situation. So check in on them. In terms of my sponsors, what can I say? I always start with my dear sis, Dr. Constance Leland with Level Up Academy, the Netflix of education, the queen of publicity. CJ's got her hands in so many different things, and I love it. The things that she and I are working on, and the things that she has going on. She's got access to publicity in all kinds of industries. Public relations, you need a press release, she's the person to talk to. And one of the great things about her is, if you've got a product to promote, a book to promote, you're getting ready to start a new project, and you're like, I need somebody to help me get out there. She's the perfect person to talk to. Because when you have that conversation, she'll be able to tell if you're not ready. She doesn't want you to waste your time putting the publicity out there if you're not ready for it. So she is there to, if you're not ready, guide you on what steps maybe you should do to be ready, so that when you do finally have that publicity going out, it maximizes it. And she has a podcast. She has live stream. She's been working on TV. She's had a radio station. She's had all of these, and she's got all these connections. So reach out and touch base with her and see how she can help you. Besides, we love lifting people up, and I'll get more into that soon. I also have the Hounds of Business. When I think of the Hounds of Business, I'm thinking collaboration over competition. That's really where it comes down to. That is something that so often we see everybody as being competition. We want to go and build our own credibility, but we're afraid to do it with somebody else. We're afraid to do it with somebody that we don't really know. We're not sure about. And so with the Hounds, what I have seen is people who you would think they're doing the same thing. They actually get together, they collaborate, and the joy of it is, one, it's going to reduce some of that anxiety because you're not doing it alone. Two, you have a new connection. You've got somebody to work with, especially when you can work together. You also got an ability to learn from each other, and you open up each other to new markets, to new groups of people, because everybody who follows you may not be your people. Everybody that follows somebody that you collaborate with may not be their people. They may be your people, and some of yours may actually be theirs. And it becomes a win-win. So find the ways to collaborate. And C&M Consulting, my dear sis Danielle, she's focused on HR resources, understanding the requirements for HR. But most importantly, when you work with her, you're going to have somebody who is empathy driven. She cares about making sure that everybody's taken care of, that all the guidelines, all the rules, the requirements are met to make sure that your HR program is as empathetic and robust as it can be. So if you have questions when it comes to HR, please reach out to Danielle Manawis with C&M Consulting. And then just because I love supporting Sis with this one, with the Bella Grace, the elixir. I've heard so many people talk about this elixir, and I just haven't had a chance to be able to do it yet. CJ told me within days of starting, she started to feel some positive effects. I've heard people talk about how they had knee problems and that got better. It's natural ingredients, and I know that CJ is working to get the creator of this, that put it together, to be able to talk with them. So that's going to be coming up. But check out the elixir, scan that QR code, and I love Bella Grace. I have a couple other things that I get, including I like their lip plumper. So check out Bella Grace. They've got so many different things. Start with the elixir and scan that QR code. And we're still looking for help, promoting help for our dear niece, Danielle's daughter. She was diagnosed with Kawasaki disease less than a week after basically graduating to go into kindergarten. She had just turned 6, and suddenly she's in the hospital, in the ICU with something that is basically turned all of their lives upside down. Imagine going back to 2020 and having to mask, having to do all the stuff you did in 2020 because somebody in the family is immunocompromised. So we're sending our prayers, sending our love, and any way that you can help, whether you can scan and you can donate, whether it's passing the word to others that you know, even just your prayers. I mean, everything. This little girl, she is a spark plug. And it was really hard to see how it whacked her down. And we really want to see her get back up. So check it out. Scan the QR code. And then I have a couple other things, but I'm going to start with who's here. And I see Lisa's here, and I love having Lisa here. But if you're heading into menopause, you're in perimenopause, I mean, here is the person to talk to. She knows everything around it, and I've had her on my show. It's been amazing to talk with her. Also, guys, you're not out of it either, because you get to go through andropause, and it's similar. And if you have questions on that, Lisa's the one to talk to. And it's lovely to see Charles here. Charles was on with CJ last week. So I love that. 2 other things before I bring up my guest is the 50 Inspirational is still open. I'm an ambassador for this. CJ's had this this is the 3rd year for this. I was one of the connections 2 years ago. I've been an ambassador the last 2 years. It's open. We're a little bit slower than we planned on, but that's totally fine. Um, we're looking, and it's crossing everything. It's not just LinkedIn. This is social media, so it's being noted on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We're looking for inspiring connections who aren't always the most known, but they have a story to tell. They have an inspiration. So please check it out, scan the QR code, and either apply yourself or nominate somebody that you see as an inspirational connection. It's really worth it to be a part of this. It opens up a lot of doors, and for those who apply, even if there's so many and you don't get part of that 50, quite frankly, it's a positive because you're still getting recognized. CJ sees you, and that's one of the beautiful things when she sees people, and she's very good at it. And then this is our next anthology, In the Space Between. And there's my dear sis. She's the one that's leading this particular anthology. So we're looking at in this case where everybody talks about this is what I was doing back then. This is what I'm doing now, but nobody talks about all the stuff that happens in between, the nitty gritty, the ups and downs. That's what we're talking about here. Real stories with soul bearing essays, memoirs of what was it like to get from there to here. What was that journey? And that journey can be so difficult. It can be it can be a journey that you look back and you're glad you went through, but at the time it was really difficult. I know that well. So check it out. Scan the QR code, and we'd love to have you a part of our next anthology. We've already had 6. We've done 6 since the beginning of last year. This is number 7. And good morning, Russ. It's lovely to see you. And I'm going to bring up Beverly. How you doing, Beverly? And unmute. There we
I
go.
just hit that because I was about to start talking. I am well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm used to dealing with the unmute because of CJ. In fact, I will call her when she's on, and she's all of a sudden she's there's her beautiful face, and it's silence. The mouth is going, but it's silence. And it's like, okay, I make a phone call, let it ring twice, hang up. She sees it's me, and she knows what happened.
Again, you guys are just showing your humanity. I love that because people, they're just chatting away and you're like, I don't hear one word you're saying, not one. So yeah, I did. I looked at it. I was like, Beverly, and I'm trying to get the pointer on that. Make sure you unmute.
But it's so glad. I'm so glad to have you here. I mean, we've talked across so many different things, but one of the things that really that you keep saying, and I want to kind of get more into, is letting people know more about you because you have an amazing background, and then going into how you became the Pied Piper. How do you go from being a Marine to the Pied Piper?
Oh, oh my goodness. I think every Marine is a Pied Piper. I don't have it in my office right now, but I used to have this picture in my office. It was a picture of a rat in a maze, and it said, "Here's how a Marine cuts through the maze." And literally, the rat just like bolted through and just bit through everything in a straight line. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's how it happens." Uh, we are mission oriented, goal driven. We like to see the end game. And I've been very fortunate to have people in my life who inspire me. and then therefore I try to inspire others. You'll hear me use a lot of colloquialisms from my grandparents and my parents. Um, One of the things that I'm keenly aware of is I am where I am as a result of everyone else who's come before me.
Right.
Those people showed me how to do it. You and I were talking earlier about our mothers and how desperately they're missed. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think of my mom, because I can honestly say she was a lead by example person. So between her and then my father used to have a saying, it didn't kill them, it ain't gonna kill you. so, 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 so when I see someone doing the good in the world, I want to replicate that. I choose to replicate that. And in the midst of everything that's going on now, I think doing good is a conscious choice. And the more conscious choices we can make, the easier it becomes to be that Pied Piper, especially when you see the good that it can do in the world. And it's not just, I heard someone say a long time ago that whatever it is you're going to do, it has to be bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this feels like for me. This feels like for me something that is so simple, and yet it can make such a huge impact in everybody's lives. Um, Everybody's freaking out now because of the tariffs, because now you're spending more money than you possibly didn't even have before. So, how do you expand the quality? Or how do you expand the quantity without compromising the quality? That's
Right.
a big question. So, when I think about, again, the Pied Piper aspect of healing for wounds, my grandmother just popped in my head now. You don't know what you don't know. Many people are unaware of this service and this benefit. So if you don't know it's available, then you'll just ignore it. Um, you can't unring a bell. But now, once I've shared that with you, now you're in a position to make an informed decision. Is this something that will help me? Because that's how I see it. I see it as not only helping the individuals that are involved, because it gets back to that who question. Who do I need to talk to?
Right.
This person has the knowledge. This person is in need of the skill set. That's a perfect equation right there. Input, output, right there. Perfect equation. Now, how do we embellish that? We actually get to see the change occurring, because sometimes when change happens, it's so small and it's so incremental. It's like, just hit me in the head now because I'm just going to die. I'm vibrating because I'm waiting on something. Whereas when we're looking at closing these wounds down for chronic patients, you know, the brain gets to see the effects of what you're doing. So now you're more motivated to show up, because I now know, because this is what it looked like last week. Now this is what it looks like this week. And I know next week is going to be even smaller, which then means I'm one step closer to getting my life back. Who doesn't want that? Um, One of the things I've shared with you before, we show up as a star being, one head, two arms, two legs. You know, we're walking on the beach. That's what a star looks like. That's who we are. Any deviation from that um, injects into our equation a bit of uncomfortability. So how do we get past that? We then strive to be the best that we can be. So yeah, that's how I end up being a Pied Piper. I love providing solutions, and I'm really good at problem solving, really good at puzzles. So this is just a natural extension of who I am and how I be and how I show up.
Well, and when we were talking in the first place, um, this aspect of the wounds, because it, like you said, each of us is a star, and it can be really hard to um, hard to keep your self-confidence if you lose that star look,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it can be avoided.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one thing if it
Absolutely.
is required, but if it can be avoided,
Absolutely.
and that's something that we had talked about, where there's some places that they just, their mentality is centuries old in terms of how
Mm-hmm.
they do things,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to trying to see, are there better ways to do it?
Ah,
Do we have to do, it's like, there's a problem here, do we have to cut it off? And instead of thinking maybe not, it's like they do.
abs-
So this is one of the things I like when you talked about this, um, as an opportunity for both the doctors and the patients.
I'm going to pull the string on that. That's a great segue. You're absolutely right. I love being in the environment of win-win-win, not just compromise. Because compromise implies somebody got to give up something. And so, yeah, you'll do it because that's what you're going to do to make it work. And when you can have a win-win-win, there is no compromise. This is what's in place. You are ready to receive that. Now we all go back into the community. So when I look at how wounds have been dealt with previously, that's the way we've always done it. And God knows when we hear that, your mind should be going tick tick, because that's the definition of insanity. Nothing stays the same from the moment we started this interview to the time we are going to get off. I don't even know how many cells we've already left off. Everything is in a state of evolution. So when we look at chronic wound care, typically it's just clean redress, clean and redress, which then means you're kind of schlepping around the biofilm, you're cleaning it out as well as you can, but then you're reapplying the bandages and you're going to hope for improvement. Um, it's a slow and tedious process. It affects the person, it affects the caregiver, it affects their environment. Um, because everyone is shaking hands, there's that moral contract that comes into play because it's family. There are some who, push it off, and then so they have wound care specialists. Those are the people that come in. It still involves, though, a level of commitment from the person who's receiving the care, coordinating to get the person there. So there's still some moving pieces. And it's, again, a slow and tedious process that normally uses a scalpel. And I mean, saying the word scalpel, you should get the same response as if I say the word lemon, that little gland in the back of your neck starts to salivate. And you see scalpel, then your body's going to react to that too. So it's about the same, maybe, it's like not apples to apples and oranges to oranges, but you still get the same, you get the point. So we now have this person who has this chronic wound that's been open for more than 30 days. What does that involve? Sometimes it involves seepage. Sometimes it involves a smell or an odor. And again, that gets back to that slight deviation of that perfect star being of who we are. Now we're a little bit different. So that person is dealing with that. Every day they're dealing with that. And I've seen cases where people have diapers around their leg because of the seepage. They're just trying to contain it. So in comes what I like to call Star Trek technology. Uh, uh, Regenerative medicine, biotechnology. Um, I live in Los Alamos, so I will tell you that yes, Ray Bradbury was here. We are still geeked out. So when I think of this technology, this biotechnology, which is amniotic membranes, placental material that is now going to act as a scaffold over this area that's been cleaned. And I'm going to talk about the debriding portion of it as well. When it's been cleaned, now this allograft is going over this pristine area and it's doing what it was meant to do, which is call in more good genes, call in more good cells, regenerate those. And That's when that little brain starts to click because now they can see the effects of this wound being closed. I mean, they are now literally starting to have an endorphin release in their brain because it's starting to change because they can see it. It's not just theoretical. It's not, you know, Houston call. It's not any of that. It's I can see it. So therefore, now they're going to be ready to go back to their next appointment, which is in the following week. That's how the patient is going to start to get their life back. Now, doctors are experiencing two things right now. One is a shortage of staff, and two is medical malpractice insurance. Those two things are really starting to show up and affect how doctors are able to continue to do their job, which we need them for. So, one of the programs that we offer is called remote patient monitoring. What that does is it partners with the doctor's practice and it alleviates the stress on the staff because now these people who are dedicated to talking to their patients are talking to them once or twice a month. The patient is engaged because they're sharing the information. They are carefully documenting and curating this information, putting it into the report. Now, when that patient meets with the doctor is more informed. The patient's already given them the information. Nobody's trying to remember whatever it is they said before, whatever the thing they were supposed to talk about. Because I only got 15 minutes, so I got to get it all in there. So we're not doing that. So nobody's anxious about the conversation we're having because everybody's informed. When that happens, the patient is engaged, the doctor's more aware. Those meetings, they will be more meaningful. Those same therapists will also then work with the patient throughout the year. So now that patient is also going to start going to their wellness visits. As a result of them going for the wellness visits, they're going to be overall healthy. That means they're not going to be going to the insurance. They're not going to be going to the emergency room or urgent care. They're not going to be calling in for a nose, for a cold, because again, they've been engaged in their own care. What does that do for the doctor's practice? Now the doctor's star ratings go up because he's not seeing sick patients anymore. His patients are better and they're more well. The doctors then get paid an extra bonus for that. Their star ratings go up, that means they make more money. The patient is more engaged because they're already sharing where they are. So that's two prongs of it. Now the third prong, or rather there's another. The third prong comes into play because that remote patient monitoring service tends to generate income within 30 days or less at no cost to the doctor. That's one revenue stream for the doctor, and as well as again the patients being healed. Third revenue for the doctor is we use a tool that's called Exonics. It was actually developed by a podiatrist, um, Dr. Farrow. He's in North Carolina, and this tool acts as an analgesic ultrasonic device that gets into the cracks and the crevices. It brings up the good skin so that when we lay that allograft on, it's like, ooh. I like to think of it, it's weird, this is just me and my with my mouth. I almost see like once you clean it all out, it just, and once you lay the allograft on, it's like it exhales, like, oh, I'm finally home. Because it's all cleaned out, there's no biofilm, there's no gunk, I'm not worried about infection. And this tool actually acts as it's like a sonic toothbrush. It massages the area. So now instead of me coming at you with that scalpel and you having the lemon response, you're really excited about this because it acts as a massage around the area to gently bring up all of the bad stuff and remove it. So I like to call that my 1-2 punch. Now we've brought in ease to that space. Now we're bringing in the healing, and it's just a great response. So because we work with the patient as well as the doctor, we make sure that the insurance verification is complete. So that means that the doctor's now going to be reimbursed by Medicare, who pays every 3 weeks. So one of the things that we can do with the remote patient care, we can add, I can drop this in, maybe not. Okay, we tend to add in about, we did a study from 23 medical practices. And long story made short, 505 annual wellness visits with an average revenue per capita was about 142. So that meant they were able to bring in approximately, so where are the numbers? So without us, they were able to bring in like $90,000 profit. Their average well visit, they were paid $56. Once we started collaborating with them, though, we were able to bring the profit to 144,000. But once they collaborated and used us fully, we were able to bring in $235,000 to that practice. Now that was the one stream just because of the remote patient monitoring. The wound care portion would bring in significantly more, significantly more. So now, when I said that there were three wins in this, the win is that the patient now gets their life back. They are now that five-star pointed being showing up, present in their body. That same patient now goes back into the community because I'm sure they know other people who are afflicted with the same situation that they were. Now they're going to have that conversation. So that's going to start to popcorn. The doctor is getting reimbursed every 3 weeks. That's just from the wound care. That's not talking about the annual wellness visits, which is another 200,000 or so. So now what we've done is we've positioned a doctor to be able to pay for their medical malpractice insurance without any dramas. Their patients are being well kept and well cared for. That practice is now thriving. So now you've got a healthy community, a healthy individual, a thriving practice. That's the win-win-win. There is no one who should be in this position of having chronic wounds, cutting their life short, tampering themselves back because there are programs in place for this. Now, it does work best with Medicare Part B or the original Medicare. So that's though anybody over 65 should not, or anyone with disabilities, anyone with special needs, they should not have to go through this. Now, the fourth thing that we offer, now this is another what I like to call Star Trek technology. It's a 15-second, and I mean that 15-second voice scan that uses Rife technology, which was studied by Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla. This 15-minute voice scan will actually give you a comprehensive view from head to toe of what's going on in your body, whatever problem areas there are. I'll use myself as an example. I have premacular degeneration. I've had it for years. Um, when I did the scan, it picked up on my premacular degeneration, specifically in my left eye. As a result of doing this voice scan, it creates four frequencies based on whichever targeted areas may show up in your life or areas that you want to possibly pay attention to. I've been listening to the voice to the frequency for macular degeneration, and it was to a point where I just didn't feel comfortable driving at night because I was like, little children and animals should not be in front of me, not in a car, because that could be scary. And I'm like, they need to brighten these lightings up. I can't see. Is that yellow or white? I can't see. Anyway, since I've been listening to that frequency, I actually drove twice at night and didn't feel like beyond nervous, like I should not be behind this wheel. And all it is just listening to that frequency. And it's just like a fingerprint. It's for you. It's made for you. Like I did my husband's as well. With his, he had, it showed that he didn't have any prostate issues. And I said, well, he shouldn't have any because he doesn't have one. That would be accurate. And then it showed that he had a kidney issue. And we just put a kidney stent in maybe 2 months earlier. It showed that he had a bladder issue, and he did have a bladder infection. it showed that he had eczema. And we were looking at, okay, well, what could we were looking at talking to a nutritionist because we jokingly said the only thing he wasn't allergic to is his spit. That he has a very delicate system. And this report also put out which foods he should stay away from and which ones would cause inflammation. So, and like I said, 15-second voice scan, and it gave you all of that. It's pretty amazing. That is not covered by Medicare, Medicaid. That is an out-of-pocket cost, but it's one of those things when I look at how do we do more with less, but not compromise the quality.
Yeah. And we, quite frankly, we need more of that. Do more with less, because the just talking about that particular system, it's like, okay. Now, I mean, you keep talking Star Trek science. Well, this feels like it really is Star Trek science.
Oh, it is. And now, the 15-second voice scan is from head to toe. The other thing that I think is incredibly fascinating is there's also this technology. It's you literally take your phone, use the phone to take a picture of your face, and it reads at a subcutaneous level everything that's going on. Like maybe your blood pressure is too high, or maybe you're having, um, or they can see the propensity for a migraine or whatever. This is happening right now. So again, when you're talking to that therapist and you're having that conversation, let's say if you don't have a phone, we can even come in through your TV to say, hey, I can see you and I want to make sure that you're ambulatory or that you're moving and that you're good, or I can see your face so that I can do the scan. So there technology, we are starting to finally use it to our advantage. Um, I spoke with a young man earlier and he was saying, oh, someone said that I was people who's taking the jobs. And I said, no, you're the person who knows how to use technology. And if you think about it, you think about this, turn of the century. If we were to go back with our cell phone at turn of the century, they would say we were doing some kind of black magic voodoo stuff going on. Because, it's like, how do you talk on this thing? Then, seriously, I mean, they were just coming online with lights. So that's all technology is. It's just a way to help you move through life and navigate easily. But as long as I love technology, as long as it does not compromise quality.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that too, because as you're talking about turn of the century, we're of that age that take your pick. Are we talking turn of the 18th to 19th century or 19th to 20th century?
I know, we're dating ourselves.
And a minute, I got the answer to that question when you start talking lights. It's like, okay, definitely, because I kind to see a little bit with, but
yeah.
like, okay.
You're right.
The joys of being born near the middle of the century. And
Oh my goodness. I'm going to meet a lady in a couple of days. She's 102 years old. I cannot wait to meet her.
oh wow.
Yeah, 102. So and that's the other thing. We're living longer now. So 70, 80 used to be the time, but you have people now who are working into their like 70s, 75, and they're still living like another 30 years after that. So, or 20 years, 20, 25 years. So we are living longer. So quality is important to me because quality of life
Uh-huh.
is definitely factoring into how we're navigating this new world. Anything that we can do to improve that quality of life, you just give back more when you're happy. You have those ones who are just curmudgeons and they're Eeyores, and we need them because, we just do. Some days more than others, but we need them. The purpose, though, is that when you have the tools in place to make an informed decision, life is just easier. And I think that we can do that. I think I'm spoiled that way. My husband says it all the time, and I agree. I am spoiled that way. There are certain things I just like. There are certain things I just don't understand why I might have to compromise because that doesn't make any sense. And then again, you become that inspiration for someone else to do that thing that they may have perceived as beyond them.
Yeah, better to be more on the cutting edge than the laggard. Um,
Yes.
and I think in many ways, I used to be more of that laggard. Even when it comes to AI, I was more on that laggard side until CJ. Uh, and,
Until you became a teacher. And now you have to use it. Yes.
and then with CJ, it's like learning and understanding it and finding it as a tool. But that's the thing too. It's a tool. It's not a be all end all. There really isn't any technology that is a be all end all. It's all
No.
tools.
Yes. That's all this. Girl, I have a fly in my office. I cannot tell you the last time I saw a fly. That's amazing.
Those are annoying too. It's like because I
Yes.
can't see it.
Oh my goodness. And my these are noise canceling, so normally I don't hear, so that says it's pretty loud. Um, I apologize. Yeah, I agree. Technology is a tool for us to use, and you can't be afraid of it. It's meant to accentuate and to a degree accessorize. Uh, but you have to learn how to use it. And my husband will tell you, back in the day when I was a court stenographer, that's how I became a court stenographer. Was um, I'd learned on an old machine, and he said to me, "Your career is moving in the direction of real time. In other words, they want people are going to want to see what they're saying as they say it." And he has always had that innate ability. He's like my canary in the coal mine. He sees things before they happen. And he was right. So I was one of the first reporters in the state back in South Carolina to become a real time writer because that's just the way that it works. So again, Pied Piper, it makes sense to me to use the tools and to use them efficiently because then you just create again other popcorns where people see you and then they can do it and then someone sees them and then it just turns into this big old what if.
We need more of those what ifs. And
Mhm.
I'm look around at all the stuff that's out there, um, and it's amazing the different. Just going through technology, I know we like to think back. I mean, growing up, we had the Jetsons, so it's like
Mhm.
we were supposed to be flying in the cars now, and all
Mhm.
of that. Um, but still, you look at the technology that's there now, and there's some things that they did go light speed, and there are other things that it's more of a natural progression. I mean, let's face it. When I look at cars now, in many ways, it's no different than they were 40 years ago. Just I think 40 years ago there were probably some better looking models still, but
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
they had a bit more
Mhm.
character to them. And my dad, well, he was into classic cars anyway.
Mhm.
So I at one point he had a 55, a 56, and a 57 Chevy,
Oh my goodness.
and a 65 GTO, and
Oh girl, yes we did. We had the black one, girl, that was hot. Yes, I remember that GTO.
yeah, he had well, the GTO was blue and a convertible,
Ah.
65, and then
Mm.
there was like a 65 Mercury, a 65 Galaxy.
Mhm.
I drove a 64 Impala, and I
Mhm.
loved the
Mhm.
look because of just this is the difference between the cars of then and now. When you look at the technology, sometimes I feel like maybe the technology erases some of the character that these
Yeah.
have. It's like I'm just thinking this right now because that 64 Impala with that the way that chrome
Mm.
trim was on that
Mhm.
kind of a long racetrack look on the side of the car. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a white car. And yeah, no, there's no air conditioning in it. The air conditioning is you roll the windows down.
That's exactly right.
No cassette player. They're not even an 8-track in that one.
But it was so cool. It
And
was such a cool ride.
a 69 Camaro. And I mean, I can go through all these different cars that he's had. Um, and but you think about, it's like now I'm kind of thinking about the fact that with a lot of technology, it's not getting, or even the way things grow, they're losing some of their personality and looking more and more alike.
Listen, there are two things that came up when you said that. One was I saw, I think it was a Mustang. And if I hadn't seen the Mustang symbol on the back, I would not have said that that was a Mustang.
Uh-huh.
Just didn't have the feel. It's kind of like when I say to people, we all have to eat. Now, you can microwave it or you can cook it. Both are edible, but there is a noticeable difference in the taste. And for young folks who just like to pop it in, nuke it, be done. And then for the other folks who are making it from scratch, and it'll take a little bit longer. Like I said, both are edible, but then the question is how palatable? What kind of quality are we looking at?
Oh yeah.
Because you could eat them both, but once that gets back to unringing of the bell, you know quality when you see it. And so when you see the compromises in that, um, you know, it's a choice as to whether or not you accept it.
Well, and you make a comment there when you talk about that. I think about, because it's just me, so I will still make some of my favorite comfort foods.
Hmm.
And my parents grew up in the Midwest, and so it's hot dish. It's not casserole. It's hot dish. And one of my favorites is what I call the bacon hot dish, because it was
Mm.
macaroni. The way it was created was macaroni, bacon, a square of Velveeta cheese, a can of cream of mushroom soup, and a cup of milk. That's all that went into it.
Mm.
Cut up, chop up the cheese, bake it, and done. Now I've upgraded the cheese on it and played with a few things, but when I get it, I can't eat the whole thing. I mean, I could, but that is not a good idea.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when I reheat a lot of my leftovers, when I reheat them, especially the ones that I make, I will actually put them back in the oven and heat them
Hmm.
in the oven
Hmm.
instead of the microwave
Absolutely.
because of that. Because I'm not thinking necessarily of the flavor aspect. I just know that it's better.
Hmm.
It's better to heat it in the oven than to go through the microwave and have the quick fix. And half,
Exactly.
and half the time, the microwave is like, by the time I go sit down to eat, it's cold again. So,
Exactly. You know, when you say that, it's like when a doctor says to me, you know, you were the one that called this meeting. What's this about? And I go, well, I'm here to talk to you about bringing some more dollars in and providing it using a value proposition. Are you interested? You know, would you prefer that I pay $200 and take your staff out, or bring lunch in and we do the lunch and learn, or would you like to know how to generate about 200, at least $253,000 in the next year with no out of pocket costs? Which is the best use of your time? They're both going to do something for you. The question is what, and is that quality what you were looking for? And people don't, not people. Sometimes I think we just get so distracted by the quickness of it that we don't understand that sometimes it may take a little bit longer, but it's certainly worth the investment of time.
yeah, there's the patience aspect.
Yes.
And CJ and I cross paths on that too, because and we, I think patience and I go straight to thinking about God at that point. And it's like, yeah, you've put me in another one of those periods where I got to be patient.
Mm.
How
Yes,
much,
because we do
how
so
much,
well with patience. Oh.
how much growth happens when when you allow yourself to go through a period of patience. If you were if you could live both streams at the same time, so it's like what you said with the why. um if you go down that path and you can, when the why splits, you can live both of them at the same time to see the difference. One is the quick and one is the patience. And then when you get to the end point, which one's going to be better?
Mhm.
I'm putting my money on the patience is going to be better than the quick fix, because you're probably going to miss something.
Mhm. You're absolutely spot on. There is something to be said, and I will be the first to tell you, patience is one of those things I am still working on. I'm used to effortless flow, like all of the pieces just falling, and it's always delicious when that happens because the universe is like, yeah, I got you. Just keep moving, just keep moving, keep moving. And then when and occasionally encounter that hurdle, we're taken aback and we have to readjust. But the key is to keep moving forward. And that's sometimes where, again, having a CJ in your corner, having a Mike in your corner, having those people there who have an agape in your corner, those are the ones who keep you moving forward. They keep you grounded. They keep you safe. They keep you real. And that's what I think I love about this community is the realness. I,
Yeah.
I, that is when I initially met both Mike and Agape, as well as CJ. That was one of the things I said. I said it's important to have conscious businesses, and I see that in spades here, and I love it. I love that we're aware of our impact within the community, of how we show up, how our name means something, and I see you. You mentioned that earlier. I see you, and that's important because a lot of people don't. They see the persona, but they don't get to know the you.
Right. And it's so important to put your authentic self out there. You've got to be the one that's willing to start taking off the mask.
Hmm.
Start I mean, I know it falls back a little bit of know your why, but really it's also know your who.
Hmm.
So it's like we'll take both of those together because we talked about those
Hmm.
before we started here. And
Hmm.
you have to know your who you are, because
Hmm.
nobody else, no matter what they tell you, and this was my problem for most of my life. It's I'm trying to be what everybody else is telling me to be, do what they're telling me to do, when the reality is they don't even know who I am. And for some, if they did know who I was, they wouldn't accept it. And I mean, that's where these masks come on. That's why we try to fit in instead of be a part of it, because we're not. When you
Hmm.
try to fit in, you don't belong.
Hmm.
When you belong, you don't have to fit in. You just drop the mask.
Hmm.
There's no judgment. There's
Hmm.
no none of that, which is what I
Hmm.
love about my connection with CJ and Danielle. Is it's a space of belonging. You can
Hmm.
drop the mask. You don't need it, uh,
Hmm.
and know who you are and let who you are step out. And once you
Hmm.
do that, once you move, this is the whole purpose of move beyond boxes and shine. Is you when I talk with women, it's understanding that you know what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
Most women, we know what we should do. We know what's holding us back. We know what we can and what we should do. We don't do it. It's like, you shouldn't have that extra piece of cake, but you do. Or you should go for a walk, but you don't. In this case, when the awareness kicks in, that's when the action happens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to ignite in women, is ignite that awareness to go, okay, it's not just I know, it's like I understand the steps I can take to get out of here. Now, whether I do it myself or I need help or a combination, hey, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I was. I had to do it by myself at the beginning, and then when I needed that help, somebody put CJ in my life at that point. And
Who?
it's
Who?
the funny part though is when you say who like that, I go straight to thinking of Athena in the owl that I've crossed paths with in what I call the Forest of Duenbrook, who almost took my head off the first time we met.
Isn't it amazing how when you don't pay attention, things come in a little bit closer? Just a little bit. Like maybe that periphery wasn't good enough. How about if I just A-line you?
Yeah. Well, when it came to that particular case, the first time I saw her, it was like 11 in the morning, and I'm coming up to an intersection in the trails, and suddenly this big gray thing comes swooping around the corner towards me,
Wow.
just following the trail, and I'm just standing there, just watching it get closer and keep getting lower and lower, because like I'm almost 6 foot. So
Wow.
as it's getting closer to me, I could see the face. The wings never moved; they stayed. And
Oh my
it's
goodness.
like, oh crap! And I was like, I'm wearing a skirt, and I kneel down quickly. Goes over my head. I stand. I don't know how I stood up so fast. I turn around and I watch as it glides around this tree and stays following the path. It's following this path the whole time. And that was the first time I crossed paths. And then I crossed paths with it like 5 times within a week and a half.
Wow.
So somebody's like, you need to name it. And a whole bunch of stuff came from that. But I've got selfies with Athena. I had conversations with Athena.
Wow.
But the fact is, I'm looking at it, and I like to think that to go back to that moment and figure, yeah, she was just there. She's going, this dumb blank they're gonna move.
Okay, I got to make a few more sorties here. Just stay with me. Stay with me. Wow. That is amazing. Because one time you could think, okay, fluke, but the fact that you cross paths that much, no, baby, there's more to it.
Oh yeah,
There's
it
definitely
just
more to
boom, 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 and suddenly it became its own story. And I've made Athena. I mean, you gotta have the right name for an owl, and
That's
that
a beautiful name.
I could have done Owlthena, but it just doesn't do the same. So
No,
Athena, and
I
then
love it.
the next thing I know, she becomes the patron guardian of the forest. So it's like there's always an owl that's a patron guardian of a forest. And then I had a deer that I called Freya, a hawk that I called Artemis, a snowy egret that I called Anya. Eagle was Skadi, which is a Norse goddess. I had Valkyries for turkey vultures. I mean, I had 8 total stories and everything, and I posted them on LinkedIn. It's like,
wow.
what the heck?
And did you put the pictures too?
Oh yeah, I got pictures of.
Good. Okay.
I got pictures of all of them except for when it came to Lady Sif, the wolf, because I was sitting downstairs looking out the backyard, and it's a condo, so critters can walk behind everybody's place. So all I did is I saw the top of the back of this big dog-like creature, and then there's one of those like offset fences. So I'm looking through the slots and I see it and I see the face, and it does not look like a coyote's face to me.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, that's the wolf I've been waiting for Lady Sid.
Whoa.
I have to go pull a wolf picture just to make that work because I've never had a picture of
Oh my
that
goodness.
critter. I mean, we got coyotes everywhere, but it did not look like a coyote's face, and it looked big. So
Wow.
it's the only way to go.
That's
The blue heron is
that's magical.
Aphrodite.
That's just magical. As you said that, what it made me think about, my mother was in Australia visiting my brother, and he said when they were at the zoo, it was as if she were holding court. He said all of the animals just came in like half moon around her. They weren't all hyper. They just all sat around her just watching her. He said it was like she was Snow White, and there was everybody, there was all these people there. And then this red kangaroo came up and snatched, I don't know what he was eating. And he said, and I was irate. I said, I am so glad you were in your right mind and decided not to go toe to toe with the red kangaroo because they will drop kick you. I said, and all of that would have messed up mom's flow because she had the thing going. She again was showing you how to do it, and you immediately went in and wanting to fight a kangaroo. Come on, stay with me. So, so, so yeah, that reminds me very much of that scene with mom. It was magical.
And this hour just goes by so fast.
Oh yes, thank you for your
So
time.
I
You're a
loved having
gracious
you here.
host.
It was fun, and I love how the conversation just goes everywhere. This is what's fun about these conversations, because I can go in. I kind of know where it's going to start, but I never know where it's going to end.
I have enjoyed myself tremendously. I am grateful for your spirit. I'm grateful for your taking the time out to let me come and share. I'm grateful for the animals. I'm going to go back and look them all up, by the way. Um,
I,
just
I
thank
do
you.
I do have it's in I have a post in my featured section, which is actually I did a 25 post series on kind of the origins of the Lady Guardians of the Forest of Duinbrook. I mean,
Mm,
I chose the name Duinbrook. I wanted to make it live because it's a place that's in my Armor of God book. Because that one's set, it's like ancient. It's like medieval times, but I mean not
hmm
this world. Um, so a prince has to go on a quest to find the armor of God under his younger brother, and one of the places they go to is Duinbrook, which I did everything I could to make sure that the vocabulary. This is the important thing about writing too, is making the writing such that the characters come off the page. In this case, I
mm,
wanted a more Celtic, Irish sounding. Um, that's how they were going to speak, and so lots of words with apostrophes for the missing vowels, and trying to give it that jig to it.
hmm
Uh, and it was fun to do it. So it's like, okay, I brought Duinbrook to life, and then I could publish the book,
mm.
um, and then I did a 25 post series, including there's one of the posts has um, kind of it's a song. I don't sing it, but I basically wrote a song to the tune of Africa,
Mm,
Duinbrook,
mhm, mhm,
and
mhm,
they're all there. So it's a
mm.
video and a song, and
Okay, I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna go and check it out.
that's number 25 of the series. And then in that post, I put links to all of the other posts in that series, so that they're all there.
Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. That's way smart.
I loved having you here, and I want you to let people know how to get a hold of you, and if you've got any last nuggets you want to drop.
Yes, website healing4woundsplural.com, and I can always be reached at 505-412-0995. But if you go to the website, there's a little place for you to fill out the questionnaire, and I can catch up with you that way as well.
Awesome. So I will see everybody else next week, and as we close this out, I get to do the little song that CJ gave me for the 50 inspirational.
Awesome.
It's the same song that she's got, but I get a different tune. So and it's
thank you so much.
Fun tune. So
okay, I'm waiting.
Awesome. I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Yo, it's not just a scroll. It's the moment. Get it. Tap it, level up, this the real lane. Dr. Leyland dropping fire, not playing games. 50 deep with the mission and a voice. Ain't just talk, we the power, we the choice. We spotlight rebels, dreamers, queens, bosses, builders, legacy machines. You want truth, you want real. This the type of vibe that you feel.
LinkedIn too, 50 connections, yeah, that's the crew. Wanna grow, wanna shine, wanna be seen. This the dopest network on the scene. So don't just lurk, engage, ignite. Click that follow, change your life. This ain't hype, this a tribe on a mission. Level up, style, legacy, edition. Ignite. Click that follow, change your life. This ain't hype, this a tribe on a mission. Level up, style, legacy, edition.
Let's the real man. Yeah. Let's get it. Tight, yeah. Let's the real man. Yeah. Tight. Dr. Leyland dropping fire, not playing games. 50 deep with the mission and a voice. Ain't just talk, we the power, we the choice. We spotlight rebels, dreamers, queens, bosses, builders, legacy machines. You it's the type of vibe that you feel and heal.
From the mic to the gram, LinkedIn too. 50 connections, yeah, that's the crew. Wanna grow, wanna shine, wanna be seen. This the dopest network on the scene. So don't just lurk, engage, ignite. Click that follow, change your life. This ain't hype, this a tribe, legacy edition. So don't just lurk, engage, ignite. Click that follow, change your life. This ain't hype, this a tribe on a mission. Level up, style, legacy edition.
Man. Let's get it. Yeah. We're all drop night shit. Taking over.